Welcome to the Secrets of College Planning. I'm your host, Anthony Uva, and today we're going to get some insight into college sports. My guest today is Ed Kull. He is the athletic director at Fordham University, and welcome to the show.
Great to be with you, Anthony. Great to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, so
Hey, welcome to the Bronx, I should say.
yeah, we're
to have you here.
actually doing the show from Fordham University, and thank you very much for inviting us.
Pleasure, my pleasure.
So first of all, I start out, I guess, where they went to college. So where'd you go to school?
Undergrad, I did at Stony Brook University out in Suffolk County of Long Island, New York. Played baseball there, student athlete there, and that's where I kind of got my fix and my love, not only for baseball and college athletics, but to be athletic director and athletics administration. So I was part of the SAC group there, the Student Athlete Advisory Council, and was the rep for our university on our President's Council, and even got to do a little bit of an internship with the NCAA.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes.
So let's just go back in time before we get into what you actually do now.
Sure.
In high school, when did it all begin thinking about going to college? Was it freshman year you got recruited? Senior year? When did it all start for you?
Yeah, I think, my family, my parents were strong advocates to make sure we were going to go to college, even though we were a first generation college graduate, me and my sister. Went to a Catholic private school, all boys school in Jamaica, Queens, Archbishop Malloy. Had the luxury of playing for Hall of Fame coach Jack Curran, and he had just extreme, very, very powerful influences on me. So I'd say probably my junior year, started getting an idea, all right, wow, this might be an opportunity to play in college. Family of humble means, so was trying to figure out a way to get a college scholarship, not really having the income or the flexibility of a family to pay for college or afford college. So I said junior year that started, and then through my senior year, had a few options, a few scholarships to choose from, went on some visits, and I'd say the fall of my senior year committed to Stony Brook, which was a SUNY system, State University of New York, but new Division I program, new Division I athletics, and was doing a great job in terms of promoting and marketing, as well as really building up a lot of their athletic facilities, including baseball.
So now you get to Stony Brook. What's it like?
So Stony Brook for me was a big culture change. A kid from Queens, family from Brooklyn and Queens, New York, in a city life. Huge campus, probably I think it's like 3.5 miles in radius, and it might as well have been a different state. It might as well have been a farm in the Midwest. I'd never seen so much grass and so many trees. So it was a really welcoming experience. Great interacting with a very diverse campus, which I had grown up with in my own high school, and it was an experience that truly, even to this day, has a major impact in my life. And between high academics, between a beautiful campus, between high athletics, and friendships that have lasted forever.
So now you graduate. How does one graduate from there and end up at Fordham University as the athletic director?
Yeah, well, that's a mouthful in terms of graduation there to where we are today, and the most historic, oldest gym in the country, Rose Hill Gymnasium, known now as Rose Thrill. But graduated Stony Brook 2003. Played some professional baseball afterwards, shortly with the Reds, and then the Evansville Otters, Evansville, Indiana. So got to play a little bit more baseball. I thought that was always the real dream.
Yeah.
Realized quickly that I better get a job and better figure out a path to make some real money. And have fortunate enough, my AD and I got very close at Stony Brook. Besides my being involved and engaged in a lot of the committees of student athletes, he helped get me a grad assistantship at St. John's University. So I had the ability to go back home, live with my parents for a little bit while getting my MBA at night, and the ability to get actually some experience in college athletics. So within a year, I went from a GA to a full-time employee in the athletics department, and finished up my MBA probably a year later. While working at St. John's, actually was able to make a wonderful acquaintance and a lifelong friendship and mentor to me. I met an alum, Mike Rapoli, at St. John's University. He offered me a job to work at his company, Vitamin Water, which was another life-changing opportunity to be a part of and oversee sports and entertainment marketing there. Vitamin Water was sold to Coca-Cola in 2007. I think it was for $4 billion. So huge, huge opportunity. And to this day, me and my dad always joke. My dad at that time thought I was crazy because people weren't buying bottled water, if you remember. Obviously, water is free out of the faucet for most, especially those in New York City with humble upbringings of Brooklyn and Queens. So the idea of paying $2 for a bottle of water still blows his mind, and that's something he and I continue to laugh about today. But wonderful experience learning really how to be an entrepreneur, learning all aspects of business, from budget management to communications to marketing to sales to distribution. It's really brand building.
Yeah.
And also the idea of culture. How do you build really a team culture within an office? And everybody was a part of that process. Everybody had equity in the company. Everybody was really fighting for the same goals and accountability, which we all know is a key part of
Yeah.
sports and athletics. From there, still had the passion. I had to stay on at Coca-Cola, moved over to Powerade, London Olympics, South African World Cup,
Wow.
the Redeem team, with the Olympics, LeBron James. So really fun aspects of learning continued. That I always say I had another MBA from being an entrepreneur at Vitamin Water, but also working at Coca-Cola, one of the top 5 brands in the world. But I still had the passion to want to be an AD. So I was able to go back to St. John's, became vice president of development, oversaw all fundraising and development there, as well as vice president of athletics for Father Donald Harrington, and had a good experience of still chasing that dream of being obviously working in athletics and loving higher education and all the purity that it is.
Sure.
From there, I had a little bit of a pause, a little bit of change in leadership there in terms of presidency at St. John's. I did 2 years at the NFL, vice president of business development, play 60 and working with NFL flag football, and then found my way back here. Through a headhunter, was a mutual friend. I didn't think I wanted to get back into college athletics, but what Fordham University had to offer, and walked around this beautiful campus as you have done today, and I just saw a tremendous amount of potential and opportunity, and fell in love with the institution and its Catholic roots, its Jesuit roots, which really filled kind of who I am. And I've been AD. I was interim AD April of 2020, right in the heart of COVID. Became full time in February of 21, and here we sit.
Yeah.
Here we sit in this office.
Fantastic.
It's a mouthful there. Sorry for being so
Yeah.
long.
No problem.
Yeah.
So let's go into being an athletic director here at Fordham University. What's the description of what you do here on a daily basis?
Yeah, so 22 varsity sports here, 15 club teams, and I say that in that not just it's 37 teams, but even some of our club teams, hockey, rugby, sailing, rowing, are very much treated at and have an infrastructure that's varsity like in terms of support and resources. So almost 1,200 student athletes on this campus. We also oversee the fitness centers. So a lot going on here in terms of what the athletics umbrella represents. And on a daily basis, it's the normal things you would think in terms of managing, 150 staff and coaches. There's obviously compliance rules and working with our student athletes, roster management, academic advising, sports medicine, mental health, all the development and leadership pieces. And then really where the job has evolved, which I think is kind of really what got me in this chair, this seat, has been, the fundraising piece and the revenue generation. In this world, especially post-COVID, how do we find revenue opportunities? How do we increase fundraising? How do we become a little bit more self-sufficient and not always asking our presidents for more money? So it's a balancing act, but it's busy, it's hectic, and as you know, in a changing college athletics landscape, we try to be as creative and as strategic as possible to position our program here moving forward.
Sure. So, as a student athlete that comes here, what could you say? What should they expect when they come here as a student athlete?
We are truly blessed here, and I know I drink the Kool-Aid, so you would expect that answer. But my previous institutions, always in the tri-state area, whether it was Stony Brook or St. John's, are here. I always say this: our student athletes truly are students first. I'm extremely proud of this, and I usually start every presentation this way. In a 4-year rolling average, our student athletes have a higher GPA, have a higher retention rate, have a higher graduation rate, and have a higher career placement rate than the rest of our population. And as you know, Fordham's the top 50 institution in the country, so it's a very strong academic brand. So for our student athletes to even excel larger than the average here is quite impressive. And you can see why they are recruited so heavily in terms of the workforce, and they're so ready for the workforce readiness. And a student athlete here gets a whole experience. So they get a Division I athletic experience, whether it be in the A10 or be in the Patriot League for football, um, and the ability to enjoy New York City in terms of obviously the culture and environment, no matter what their interests are. It's literally a subway ride or a metro ride or a Ram van ride into the city. Our Lincoln Center campus is 8 miles from here. So there's a beauty to really get that experience of the culture of what New York City and everything it has to offer. Has a tremendous quality alumni network that helps us place internships or jobs for our for our graduating seniors, and whether that be mentoring or the opportunity of actually hiring, and and then obviously the educational, which is top in terms of really creating a true leader for the country. So it really is a well-rounded whole experience here at Fordham University.
Now, when they come here, do how do your coaches find a lot of these kids? Are they really just recruiting at the high school level, or they find them at the club level? Um, give us a sense of where your coaches are looking for these student athletes.
I think the evolution of recruiting has really evolved over years, especially now post-COVID in terms of transfer portal, international students. We have a lot of them here at Fordham University in the athletics department. It's an attractive destination to come to New York City and study for all the reasons we just talked about. I think you're seeing a lot of blossoming in terms of really having to know the transfer piece and being on top of that in terms of the ability to find high quality talent on the playing surface. Um, but I also think you're right. I think high school recruiting has changed. It's no longer just going to high schools or going during their seasons and watching games and practices. The club for all sports has really evolved. So showcase tournaments, recruiting weekends, they know, our coaches know where they are, where to find the talent. Social media, digitally, video postings, profile pages. There's a lot of means of marketing and promoting a young high school student athlete, and our coaches are really well versed on how to figure that out. But it's made it probably that much more competitive because all the other coaches know how to find that talent now too. But I think that really has changed the world from the days probably you and I were recruited and they had to come to your game or come see your practice.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see, but it's a lot of travel, a lot of obviously staff needs, a little leaning on our assistant coaches, and also building relationships with a lot of those, whether it be AAU or clubs, to really figure out where the talent lies.
Yeah. So now when you talk about student athletes these days, a lot of things come up, new things come up, like the NIL,
Yeah.
name, image, and likeness. What is Fordham doing with something like that?
So the name, image, and likeness, I know, really has turned this upside down a little bit, or the wild, wild west, as many people like to phrase it as. And I support it. As you know, my non-traditional background here is AD, working for brands, doing entertainment for leagues and teams. I think student athletes, if they have the opportunity to make some money and earn income and endorse a product, a service, or a company, they should do it. No different than what other students are able to do, whether they're entrepreneurs as students, whether they're doing YouTube pages, whether they're creating, online companies or social media followings. So probably about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago now, we were aggressive in terms of having some steps and support mechanisms put in place. Jeremy Darlow, who's a friend, used to be the CMO at Adidas, came in, did a whole curriculum with our student athletes on how to brand build, that they actually are a brand, how to position themselves, how to behave on social media, how to build a profile, how to present yourself. We've done some partnerships with influencer. We're now part of the influencer exchange. So student athletes have the ability to go to that exchange if they're looking to get opportunities. Same with alumni in terms of directing them with companies or services of if they're looking to endorse or sponsor a student athlete, how to do that appropriately and correctly. We worked with Team Ultimus, which was here in terms of opportunities.
Well,
So we tried to make sure we're just educating and providing support. There's always a group of pro bono alumni that are willing to help with any legal services. Pro bono accountants help with IRS needs and tax purposes. Often a forgotten piece of NIL. It's great to get money. It's great to get free product, but of course you're held responsible from a tax perspective. So how do we continue to provide those resources? I got to tell you, we've had some great success stories, but we've also had a lot of student athletes who are like, I'm not interested in doing it. They have a busy schedule. They train, they practice, they compete, they have an internship, they're trying to get a job in a certain marketplace. They don't really have the time for the extracurricular stuff, or they want that distraction. So I've been really impressed with some of the balancing and discipline and maturity of our student athletes.
Well, that brings me to my next question. Usually, a lot of parents ask, schools these days are not cheap. Tuition isn't cheap. What does Fordham do? There's scholarships because it's a Division I program. Is there anything else that families can look at as well?
Yeah, there's always conversation. For the most part, we are fully funded in terms of our sports and our programs, in terms of scholarship aid. And obviously they have the ability by athletic achievement or athletic accolades to possibly obtain some of that. As you know, the NCAA puts limits on certain teams, like a baseball that only has 11.7, though they're up to like a 40-person roster, is only 11.7 scholarships. So how does that coach creatively give out or distribute scholarships among that roster? I was a former baseball student athlete. There's always that thought that everybody's on a full scholarship. Well, they can't be. There's only 11.7, and it's a 40-person roster. So no one's on a full scholarship, basically. So how do you creatively look at that? And then there is some support here based on our values at Fordham, based on need. We try to obviously look at academic accolades as well. So it's a combination of being creative. Yes, the price of education is expensive and challenging. And I think, unfortunately, even in the NIL world or the transfer portal world, kind of forgotten as the forgotten value of what education is worth. So we try to remind folks of that whole experience and the whole offering here and why Fordham is a better value than other institutions.
Now, usually I ask my guests, we're coming to the end of our show, I ask, what advice do you want to give to the parents and the students that are looking to go to school, and one of their schools happens to be Fordham University? What advice do you want to give them?
My best advice, and it's coming as a parent, not just an athletic director, is to really figure out what's best for your child. What's the best fit, whether they want to study a certain area of curriculum, whether they want to live in a certain population or geographical experience, whether they like bigger or smaller class sizes or campus sizes, and then, of course, the athletic piece, what's really the best fit based on that style. And I know it sounds cliche, but I mean it because I think a lot of times there's a lot of following of the leader in terms of expectations or attractiveness to a certain level of conference or program, and you feel like you can't say no to that coach or can't say no to the SEC. It's an opportunity not pressing. But what is truly the right fit for your child, and making that decision collectively and looking at all aspects and asking a lot of questions and not just feeling pressure or feeling obligation that this is a no-brainer, can't say no to that. So doing some homework, doing some research, taking your visits, speaking to alumni, speaking to graduating student athletes that came from there, or speaking from student athletes that left there. I try to do as much research as possible and make that best decision, because at the end of the day, I hope every student athlete has a wonderful experience. I hope every student athlete has an opportunity to play or compete professionally. But we all know that stops at some point. So it's life after is that much more of importance. Don't be so closed-minded to the 4 or 5 years that you're looking at. What's life after going to look like from going to that institution?
Great. Well, thank you very much.
My pleasure. Pleasure. Love having you here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
So you've been watching The Secrets of College Planning. I'm your host, Anthony Uva. Until next time.